Coach, coming off the bye week, what do you like best about your team with this opportunity this week against Temple?
Well, I think the bye came at a good time for us, Scott. And I thought our players were really good last week in the way that they approached things from the way that they practiced to the way that they we had a bunch of guys that were banged up. We talked about that last week, and the way they approached just the recovery and the rehabilitation standpoint. From that standpoint, I thought it was really good. I think we're coming off of a tough loss, that our kids handled it really well. It's obviously extremely disappointing, but the way that they came out and attacked it, starting on Tuesday, we practiced Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday last week. Thought we had three really solid days. I think they're in a good place. I think they understand we've got a lot to play for moving forward, and kind of look at this as a new season for us. And so everything's very positive right now moving forward. And like I said, we needed the bye week, and was really pleased with the way our kids and our staff approached it.
You've had a little extra time to scout Temple. What have you seen from them?
Yeah, I mean they're a talented team that's had a tough schedule. They've had some ups and downs, certainly like we have. At times they've played really, really well. At other times they've struggled a lot like us. I think they've battled some injuries. Looks like I believe EJ Warner, the quarterback, will be back for us this week, and he's a very good player, very efficient quarterback that has done some really good things. They seem to function at a higher level. When he's in there, he runs their offense really, really well, and it's kind of catered to what his talents are. And so it's a talented football team that's had their struggles, but certainly at times been a very good football team. And so I'm sure we're going to get that very good version of Temple when we go up to Philly Saturday.
What is it about the defense that's been able to take it up another notch in these last several games?
Yeah, I think we've got a lot of things cleaned up, Scott. There was some things that we felt like we really could control that we weren't doing really well, particularly the tackling and leverage on tackles and things like that. I think we've done a much better job of that. I think naturally, we tend to get better as the season goes on around here on the defense side of football. I think you're seeing that happen. I think the kids are playing with a lot of confidence right now, a really good grasp and understanding of what we're doing. I think you're seeing some younger guys that have played a lot of snaps start to understand not just what they're doing, but what's going on around them. And that certainly helps things. And so it's the repetitions, the game repetitions, and you got a guy like Luke Pierce, for example. This will be his third start, I believe. He just continues to get better and better, and there's a lot of guys just like him.
And you think the offense is starting to find a little bit of stride right now with that extra week, kind of to refine what they've been building on coming in?
Yeah, certainly helps. I think as a staff, we kind of look at what we've been doing, and certain things we got to get back to, and got to have a home base, and that's something that we've talked about a lot, the last couple of weeks, and getting back to that. And so I'm excited about the direction that we're heading in. Certainly, got some things to improve on that side of the ball, on both sides of the ball, obviously. I think we took some good strides toward that last week.
Thanks, Coach.
Thanks, Scott.
Wags.
So, Coach, you talked last week and this week about a new season, kind of a season within a season. Do you look at these next three games in particular as being crucial? I mean, you're playing three teams that have losing records here in the next 3 weeks. These are teams that you need to beat if you're hoping to accomplish the goals you want to accomplish, get to a bowl game.
Yeah, I don't know that I really look at it that way and weigh the records of the teams that we're playing. I look at them as all critical games for us. And, we did talk about this being a new season, but we also talked about it, taking it one game at a time, obviously. And we got our hands full here with Temple. And so that's the only thing that's on our mind right now, just going 1-0 and find a way to get a win this Saturday. But they're all the teams up in our schedule are teams that can beat us. There's no doubt about that. And I think they're all winnable games for us on the flip side of that. And so the focus is on us. We're doing things as well as we can possibly do them, and putting together a great game plan that our players can go out and execute, and we feel good about. Our guys going and it's a plan that puts them in a great position to have success, and something that our kids do well. And that's what you're always trying to find as a coach is, what you do is important, but how you do it is more important. But the what piece of that is just what's best for our players right now, and that's what we're trying to find out and get nailed down right now.
If you were able to get bowl eligible, how important would that be in your first season? Do you think that would be a based on what's happened here in the most recent seasons when Navy hasn't been to a bowl for a while.
Yeah.
Do you think that would be a positive?
Absolutely. And that's always the goal here, and that's the expectation here. And like you said, we haven't done that in a few years, and so it'd be awesome to get back into playing, postseason game, and be great for our players, so they can continue to develop, get extra week of practice, and our players. It's always the goal around here. It'd be great for our program for sure.
So as far as the offensive line, particularly Connor McMahon, Sam Glover, the guys that are banged up, do you feel like the bye week has helped? I know you talk to these guys, do they feel like this was necessary time off, and that by the time Temple game rolls around on Saturday, that you'll be a healthier up front?
Yeah, we certainly will be healthier than we were. There's no doubt about that. And, we go with the injury report every day, and all those guys are making progress. And I think Connor's full go today, and so that's good news for us. And obviously, you want to practice during the week before you go play a game on Saturday, and you can't always do that, but that's the goal. And Jim Barry does a great job with those guys and his staff. And but yeah, the bye week was critical, and I think having 3 consecutive days. Our coaches went out to recruit on Friday, so we didn't practice Friday. So they had Friday, Saturday, Sunday to rest and recover, and I think they all did that, and they understand. Bye week was good for us as a staff. It was also really good for our players, and they embraced that, like I said earlier. So I'm looking to see a fresh football team out there today.
What makes you believe that Warner's going to play? He hasn't played in the last 2 games.
Yeah, I think it's been a game time decision. From what I understand, it's concussion, and sometimes you go on the concussion protocol. There's a lot of tests you have to pass before you get cleared, but it's been a good amount of time. I don't know for sure that he is, Wags. I don't, but he's been out for a little while, and I'm assuming that planning that he'll be back.
All right, thanks.
Hey,
Brian, obviously everything is important. That's an understatement, but to get on top in a game like this, so you can kind of neutralize what they could do with Smith and/or Hubbard, because both guys, when they've had a chance, are averaging almost 5 yards a carry, but because they've been behind, they haven't been able to carry the ball very much. So, obviously stopping them on defense is one thing, but getting that jump start offensively, so you make them kind of a one-dimensional team, so they can't run the ball at you and keep the ball away from you. Just how important is that, for lack of a different word other than important?
Yeah, I think it's always important to get off to a great start. But you're right, when they, when they're on track and they're able to run the football and they're not playing from behind, they get into a nice little rhythm. The short pass game, the run game, some of the stuff that complements the run game from a play action standpoint. And so when they are in rhythm, they're really tough to defend. So certainly, you look at the games where they've gotten behind, it does make them more one-dimensional, and obviously makes them more predictable. And so you're able to make better calls. But yeah, it'd be great to get off to a fast start, something we really hadn't done this year. So it'd be outstanding if we could do that.
They have 9 guys that have had explosive play in the passing game. Explosive passing game is 20 yards or more. Why has that been the case in what you've seen, at least on tape?
I think they're really talented at all the skill positions, and they've played 4 running backs. I think they're really good at wide receiver. They get the ball to the run backs out of the backfield. They feature 12 personnel. You got 2 really athletic tight ends, and so they've got good personnel. And so quarterbacks have done a good job of spreading the football around. And as a result, you see, not just a few guys making big plays, but a bunch of their guys. So obviously it makes them more difficult to defend, but they do have good skill players at really every position.
I was going to say, is that also why, if Warner does play, they become much more multidimensional from an offensive standpoint?
They do. The other quarterbacks that have played are different types of quarterbacks. They got the one big quarterback that's, I think, 6'4", 230 pounds. He's a really good athlete. A little more quarterback run game when he's in there, and so the offense changes slightly. But yeah, I think that's one thing that Warner does really, really well is he spreads the ball around. He takes what the defense gives him. He's been really, really good at that at times.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
You got it, Pete.
Wyckoff.
Coach, you had a pretty good sense of some of your top leaders coming into the season. How have been your emerging leaders, the players that have stepped up as the season has gone on? How important has that been for the team as you guys kind of make that turn now?
Yeah, it's critical, especially when you have, two of your captains with season-ending injuries, which is really, really difficult. Those guys have continued to do a good job, but, you always have players step up during the course of the season, maybe guys that you didn't really see as big leaders necessarily, but I think we've got a bunch of guys doing a great job. I don't know if there's anybody who's emerged as a super vocal leader, but a lot of guys leading by example and by the way that they practice and the attitudes that they bring to practice every day. And so we've got a great group of young men, and they're resilient, like they always have been since I got here in 19. And I'm always amazed at how these guys respond, in adverse situations. And you can certainly say we've had some adversity, this first little over half of the season. But last week's a great example of the kind of kids that we have, kind of young men we have in our program to come out and attack practice the way they did, and see things for what they are, and know we got to go get better and embrace that. We just got a bunch of great young men, Scott, to answer your question, and that's what these guys are. Most of them are leaders, and they're all leaders in their own way, but majority of our team has had a great attitude, and like I said, they're resilient, and they're doing everything that we're asking to do from a preparation standpoint, and just the way they're going about their business. I couldn't be more pleased with that.
Thank you.
Thanks, Scott.
Thanks.
So Temple ranks, I think, 124th nationally in rushing defense. I mean, and you need to get the running game going. Obviously, that's the priority to get back on track. How important is it, against a team that has not stopped the run very well? How crucial is it to really reestablish your running game?
Yeah, well, man, for us, Bill, it's critical to get it going, regardless of who we're playing, and that's something we haven't been able to do on a consistent basis. And here at the Academy, that's where everything starts for us offensively is running the football. We talked about getting back to some of the basics and making sure that we have a home base and that we're really good at that home base. And something we've worked on a lot in the bye week, something we've talked about a lot. So getting the running game going is absolutely critical.
But have you considered any changes along the offensive line, or do you feel like the guys that you have out there are the best ones? You had mentioned last week that you didn't have a lot of depth along the line, but did you consider that, or do you feel like the five guys that have been playing are the best guys?
Yeah, I mean, we're always trying to get our best players on the field. And I think last week, because a couple of guys had to sit out, or were limited in their reps, a lot of the young guys got some reps. So it was a really good week of practice for those guys. But yeah, we're always looking to play the best guys, and we feel like one of those younger guys is passing one of the older guys up. We certainly won't hesitate to do that. But I do think the five guys that we have right now give us the best shot to win. And to your question last week, you got to weigh the health of your guy compared to the next guy in line. Is something that we're always doing for sure.
You mentioned that Cummings was a game time decision against the Air Force and go. As he look like he'll be back on Saturday to give you some more depth at tackle?
Yeah, he should be. If he continues to trend the way he's trending, he should be ready to go on Saturday.
And where are you with the quarterback? Do you feel like you know who you're going to start on Temple? And if so, do you want to tell us?
Yeah, no, we're going to let those guys compete this week, and we'll make that decision later in the week.
All right, I'll pass along to Pete.
Pete, go ahead.
Thanks, Bill. Brian, to that extent, is Ty at a point where he can even get close to 100% healthy, or is this just a guy that continues to gut it out right now and knows that finish line for school and everything is in sight and wants to give you everything he has?
First, I want to see you and Wags arm wrestle or something, Pete. We could do it live on the Zoom call. You guys get in the same spot, maybe. I mean, the injury to Ty is not as significant as we first thought, but it's certainly still a pretty significant injury. It's going to take him, a few weeks to recover from. But Ty's a tough dude. I know he wants to get back and finish up his senior year, and so it's kind of a week-to-week deal with him right now, Pete.
I know you can appreciate good safety play Taiwan Francis looks like a fairly good safety for Temple. Seems to be a guy that's willing to throw his hat in there and play all over the field. Just thoughts on him and Jordan McGee as well, who also looks like a pretty solid player at linebacker for them.
Yeah, I think they're two really good players. Safeties all over the field, and same thing with the linebacker. And they've got a lot of talented players, throughout their roster. I think they're a lot like us. They've had some ups and downs, and they've dealt with some injuries as well, and they played a tough schedule. But yeah, they've got good players. Certainly some guys that we're concerned about on the defense. From the defensive line to linebacker to safety, we've got some really good athletes, good players.
You both have obviously experienced issues for one reason or another at the quarterback position. In this sport, no matter what the level, what does that type of disruption do to a team? It just seems like it's really hard to gain any traction. And literally right now for you and them to a certain extent too, quarter to quarter, just trying to gain some offensive traction and consistency when you're without that person. Is that fair?
Yeah, I think it's certainly fair to say, and just like with us, their quarterbacks are very different quarterbacks. And so it affects, your game plan, and when you potentially might play two quarterbacks, how does it affect your game plan within a game plan when you're playing both those guys and trying to fit what you're doing to their strengths, obviously. And so, yeah, it makes it tough to get in any kind of real rhythm. There's obviously certain challenges that come with playing different quarterbacks, and it's something that we're working through. And I feel like we've got a couple of guys that can win games for us. But it'd be nice, to settle in on one guy for sure, and that way you can kind of cater your game plan to that guy, if that makes sense. Just like us, Temple's very different when Warner's in there as opposed to the other two quarterbacks that have played for him. And so it certainly does affect your the way you call a game, the plan going into the game, and just the rhythm of the game itself.
Last one for me, constantly, as the season goes along, you're always trying to keep the players up, keep their emotions up, keep their physicality level up. When things from a coaching perspective, and how competitive every guy you brought in here, the guys that were here with you already are, do you have to, give members of the staff sometimes an attaboy? Hey, just, we're right here, keep at it. Do you have to do that? I know they're the adults in the building, but at some point they're human too. Do you have to kind of, pat guys on the back and say, hey, you're doing all right?
Sure. Absolutely. I think, we need to inspire our players, and we get some inspiration for them as well. And it's the same thing amongst coaches. And I think the key thing for us is always having that 1-0 mentality. I know it sounds a little bit cliche, but focusing on the process of things and understand there's joy in the journey. And it's a beautiful thing about football is you can lose a game as bad as you feel. For a couple of days after that, you move on to the next one, and then the next week you can feel entirely different. So you just got to keep everybody up and keep focusing on things that we know we can get better at, and stay positive. And obviously there's some hard truths you have to address and find solutions to things, but that's what we're always looking to do here. And failure is part of it. And you tell our guys it's only failure if we don't learn and grow from it. And I think our guys are really good in that regard. But I tell you, they inspire me on a daily basis, and just the way they come out and handle their business. And so that's what makes this place, one thing that makes this place such a special place is our players. Their character and their resilience and the way they go about their business.
Awesome. Thank you. We'll see you Saturday.
All right, Pete.
Any other questions for Coach?
Yeah, Coach, how does Xavier look at quarterback? I know he's been getting more reps there. How's he looking at quarterback? And if he doesn't play a quarterback, is there a way to incorporate him more into the game plan? Because we have not seen much of Xavier this season.
Yeah, I think he's done a really good job at quarterback. We moved him to slot early in the year, and that's where he took the majority of his reps. And so, the last few weeks, started to get more and more reps at quarterback, and obviously now, him and Braxton are getting the majority of the reps, and so he continues to improve as well as knocked a lot of the rust off of him. And I think one thing he's doing a little better job of now is throwing the football. And that's one of the things that was not his strong suit. So I've been real impressed with him and his ability to handle the offense and take everything in. and we can certainly operate when he's in there. So I've been really encouraged and pleased with X.
Why do you think Pete and I should arm wrestle? Because Pete doesn't seem to like me very much.
No, I think it's you guys are always quipping at each other, and I'd like to see it. We can set it up at the hotel or something like that. We could probably get a pretty good little crowd to watch it.
We do a podcast together. We're supposed to have good chemistry.
We obviously can't gamble on that, but hey, it'd be fun to do.
Winner gets a cheesesteak on Saturday.